Hello everyone. Today let's solve the problem antimatter. So this one, you can read the entire problem here from this one. They have clearly mentioned the problem as well as input and output they have given. Also they have given the example and they have given input that has to give the desired output here. So you can read this problem clearly. I'll just summarize the whole problem for you so that it is easy to understand. So previously we had solved the problem which included Lahoob and Lahoobina, right? If you remember. So this will be, so here only Lahoob is there, Lahoobina is not there. Let's try to solve the problem. Let's try to understand the problem. So what the problem says here, Lahoob discovers a line of devices that can produce either matter or antimatter. So he discovers a line of devices that can produce either matter or antimatter. So that is one thing. Next, so for photo to be successful, the selected contiguous subarray of devices, contiguous subarray of devices must produce an equal amount of matter and antimatter. Equal amount of matter and antimatter it has to produce. I'll just give AM and M. So for a photo to be successful, for the successful photo, the selected subarray of devices must produce equal amount of matter and antimatter. This one. So our main task, what is our main task? Our main task is to compute the number of ways to select such a subarray. So we have to compute the number of ways to select such a subarray, right? Where the sum of matter and antimatter is in each subarray is balanced. The sum of the matter and antimatter in the each subarray has to be balanced. That's what they have clearly given in the problem. Main task of us is to compute the number of ways to select such subarrays. So we need to find all valid combinations and output the number of different ways to take the photo. Finally, what we need to find? We need to find all the combinations and output the number of different ways to take the photo. So let me delete this one. I hope the problem is clear. So let's start with the approach. As usual, we'll start with step-by-step approach, right? So as usual, we know first step we'll go with the input handling. We'll be making use of the JavaScript or the Node.js to solve the problem. So first step is, as always, we'll be going with the input handling. This will be the first step. So, and second step after the input handling, let's try to understand the problem again. I'll just say in very simple words what we need to do. So we have an array of integers, right? Where each integer can be either added or subtracted. So suppose we are having the array of integers. So let me consider this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is just for the example sake. Here we have array of integers where each individual integer can be added or subtracted. Any integer it may be. It can be added or subtracted. This represents antimatter. AM. I'll just annotate this one with AM. So this will be antimatter. What is our main goal? Our main goal is to find the subarrays where the sum of find the subarrays. Either it can be 2, 3, either it can be 1, 2, either it can be 3, 4. Any subarray. So any subarray of length, any subarray of any length. The goal is to find the subarrays where the sum of selected elements is, the sum of the selected elements has to be 0, right? The sum of matters has to be equals to the sum of antimatter. While explaining the question, I had explained this one. Sum of matter has to be equal to the sum of antimatter. That has to be, the sum has to be equal to 0. This is second step. So just give understanding the problem. This one again. The third step is we'll be making use of the dynamic programming for this particular problem. So let's see why we'll make use of the dynamic programming and what we will use. So why we are making use of the dynamic programming? So we are making use of the DP to track the number of ways to achieve each possible balance of matter and antimatter. So we have to keep track of number of ways to achieve balance of, each possible balance of matter and antimatter, right? At any cost, we need this one. For this purpose, we'll be making use of the dynamic programming. So since values can range from negative to positive, so the values can be negative or positive, we need to offset to handle the negative indices as well. We need to check further or handle negative indices as well. For each number in the array, we will be calculating all positive sums that we can achieve by either adding or subtracting. This one I said it when I read the question, right? So for each number in the array, either we are calculating all the possible sums that we can achieve by adding or subtracting the current number. And finally, after doing that, we know that after initialization, we'll go with the updation, right? We have to update our DP array accordingly. We'll be making use of the DP array. After doing that, we'll be updating the DP array in the iteration step. That's what we'll be doing in the step number 3. So let's come to step 4 after updating the DP array. So this will be initialization and update. So here only I had explained the same thing. I'll explain in simple terms. So the DP array is initialized with large enough to handle the sum of values in both positive and negative directions. We are going with, it can consist of negative values. They have clearly mentioned in the problem. So the DP array is initialized with size large enough to handle the sum of values of both positive and negative direction. So for each element in the array, we'll create a temporary array, right? For each element in the array, what we are doing, we are creating the temporary array to store the new balances we can achieve and update the original DP array accordingly. So we have to update after the initialization, we are updating the DP array, this one. So the answer should be the total number of times that we achieve a balance of 0. The sum has to be equal. This one, matter and the antimatter has to be equal, and the sum has to be 0, right? That's what. The answer is the total number of times that we achieve a balance of 0, indicated by the index 10,000, right? In this case, which represents balance. They have given here 10,000 somewhere. It's fine. You can consider this, right? Which represents the balance. So this is how this is the approach basically. So let's start to write the program so you'll understand it better. So I'll just delete this one. Let me come here. Let's start writing the code. Just give me a second. Yeah. First step, as we know, we will start by setting up the input handling for input handling. So nothing but we will resume reading input from the standard input. Also, we'll set input encoding to UTF-8. So this is same for most of the problems, right? I'll just give resume. Encoding, I'll set this one to UTF-8. Next, let's set the variables that will hold the input. So I'll just give input string that is equal to empty string. And also, let's set the current line. We have to read every line, right? For this purpose, initial line, I'll just set this one to 0. Starts from 0. So I'll set this initial current line to 0. Next, we'll make use of the event listener to accumulate the input data. This is simple. Dot standard input. Let's make use of on data input stdin. So within this, what we are doing, we are appending the input string to input stdin. So after this, I'll just copy the same thing and make the necessary changes. Let me copy this one. What we will do, once all the input is received, we will trim it and we will split into lines. So we'll be removing the white spaces, nothing but trimming. Then we have to read individual lines. So we'll be making use of /n along with the split. Also, in every line we have to remove the space. Apart from the first line, we need to remove the unnecessary white spaces from each line of the input. For that, we'll be making use of map. We'll be removing trim method. So how can we do that? So again, let's make use of the event listener. I'll just go with sorry, this one here. I already did this one, right? Sorry. Let me remove this one. We don't have to append anything. So I'll just give this has to be input string. Let's trim the white spaces. We have to read individual lines of input. So I'll just consider /n. Also, let's map. I'll just consider string trim. So this is fine. Next, we need to read all the lines of the input, right? For that purpose, I'll just make use of the read line function. I'll just give read line. Next, let's return this one, input string. We have to move to the next line after reading the current line. So it has to be current line plus, nothing but we are incrementing to next line. That is what we are doing using read line. Next, we will go to the main function. Nothing but we'll be writing the core logic or the main logic in the this one, main function itself. Here, I have to call the main function as well here. So why I didn't call the main function? Because we haven't we didn't write the main function yet, right? So we'll be writing the main function now. And after writing the main function, I'll just come here and call the main function over here, right? This one. So let me give here function main. So what we are doing here, let's pass the first line as the number of devices n. So we have to read in simple terms. So I'll just give, let's make use of the read line. So let's pass the second line as well. We are parsing the first line and second line. Let's parse the second line as the array of matter or antimatter. So sorry, array of matter or antimatter. So values nums, right? I'll just take the variable name nums. Let's parse the second line as the array of matter or antimatter. So we have to read first, read line, then split. So if we are having different numbers or characters, we need to different distinct numbers or characters within the same line. We need to leave the spaces between them, right? For that purpose, I'll just make use of split and leave the space. Nothing but we are leaving the space between the particular word in this case, right? Word or the number. So let's map that one entirely. This will be of type number. So we'll not be considering string here. We'll be converting this one to type number. You can make use of the big int as well if we are dealing with the large numbers, very large numbers, or if we are making use of the modulo, then we can make use of the big int. I think it's not necessary to use the big int over here. Let's make use of the number. If we have some problem with the output dealing with the large numbers, then we'll change it to the big int, right? So next, let's set the modulus for our answer as required by the problem. So either I'll just give, let me give complete modulo. This has to be 10 to the power of 9 plus 7, right? I'll just give the values this time. So next, what I'll do, after setting the modulo, let's initialize the DP array or dynamic programming array. Size 20,001. This one size 20001 handles basically it balances from minus 10,000 to plus 10,000, and the index 10,000 represents the balance of 0. This is given in the question if you have read it properly. So I'll just give let dp equals new array and let's fill this one with 0. Finally, After this, we have to store the final answer using certain variable. So either you can take result or answer or anything. I'll just take ANS. I'll just initialize this ANS variable to 0. After the initialization, as always, we'll go with the iteration, right? Just give me a second. So we can iterate over the each number in the array by making use of the for loop as usual. So I'll just give let num of nums. So let new dp equals, I'll just set this one to new array of same thing. So I'll just select this one and let me fill this one with 0. I should have made use of the typed arrays instead. It would have been easy actually if I would have made use of the typed arrays. This is fine. Then for each possible balance that is represented by index I, right? We have to check if dp of I is non-zero. So how to do that? Again, for each possible balance we are checking, right? Let's iterate again. I'll just give let I equals 0, I less than, same thing, same value. Let's increment the I. So if the balance I is possible, then we will update the new dp by adding and subtracting the correct number. So while I was explaining the approach, I explained the same thing. So this is the condition. I'll just be making use of if condition over here. So I'll just give new dp iterated value I plus num. This has to be new dp. Again, same thing, I plus num plus iterated value of the dp. Mod this one, right? So again, let me give new dp. Same thing, let me copy this one. We have to do addition and subtraction, right? So I'll just copy this one and make the necessary changes. So this has to be I minus num. New dp of here also, it has to be I minus num plus same. This one is same plus iterated value of the dp module. So this is fine. After this step, we have to replace the dp with new dp to reflect the new balances. We are just assigning the dp to new dp. So here, let me give dp new dp. After this, we'll handle the case where the subarray starts with the current number itself. So subarray starts, when subarray starts with current number what we are using, that itself, then we have to handle that case as well. How can we write that? dp of current number num plus, here in the question they have given 1000. I'll just take 10,000, right? Sorry. This has to be, I'll just go with dp num plus 10,000 plus 1, same thing, module mod. So dp, this time it will be negative, minus num plus 10,000. Same thing, I should have copied, that's fine. dp of minus num 10,000 plus 1 here, same thing, mod. This is fine. After this, we have to add the number of ways we can achieve a balance of 0. That's what the question says. We have to achieve a balance of 0, right? Using that is nothing but matter has to be equal to the antimatter, and we have to achieve the balance of 0. That's what the question says. So how can we write this one? Here in this step we'll get the answer basically. So answer plus this will be dp of what number we have considered? 10,000, right? So this number did I miss something? Just give me a second. No need of braces over here. Not required. So I'll just give mod here. So in this step, we'll be getting the answer and we have to display the answer, right? For displaying the answer, let's make use of the console log. As we are making use of the JavaScript or the node, we'll just go with the console log to print the result. So I'll just give console log of answer. So this is it. Let's call the main function here. So this is it. I hope this is clear. We have covered every step that I explained in the approach. So I'll just come here. Let me consider this input and we have to get the output 12. Let's check. So here we are getting, right, line number 41, module mod. Mod is not defined as in what I have took here, modulo, right? So this one I'll just, everywhere I have used mod itself. I'll just give mod here instead. So yeah, we are getting 12, right? Output, we are getting 12. So this is working correctly. So input, here they have given the output that we need to, the desired output is 12 and we have got the output 12. So just give me a second. Let me copy this. Come here, submit code, problem D, antimatter. I'll just paste this one. Let me hit the submit. Let's wait for some time. So this is giving us wrong answer on test 3, right? So let's check what is wrong. So what I have done wrong here is I have took the modulus value wrong. So here this has to be 8 zeros. Basically I have given 7 zeros. Let me give one more 0 and let's try to run. So this is giving us the correct output, but let's check. I'll just copy this one. Let me come here, go back. Let me paste this one and hit the submit button. So let's wait for some time. So this is saying time limit exceeded, right? So let's check again what we have done. So here I have this array size is wrong, I guess. I have given 5 zeros. This has to be 3. Let's change this one everywhere, wherever we have used. So this is fine. This is fine. DP and no DP. Just give me a second. I hope this time this has to work. So here, this one I had to add this one extra 0, and here where array initialization I had to remove 1 0 from here. So I think these are the 2 mistakes. Let me check. So I'll just copy the same thing. Let me submit the code this time. I hope it doesn't give DLE. So you can clearly see now this is accepted, right? So the code works absolutely correct. So what mistake I had done here is, so modular value I had missed 1 0. So this is one thing, it has to be 8 zeros. So here this array size was too big actually. So this has to be 20,001. So I had given extra 0 here. I had removed this one from everywhere, wherever I had used this number, right? New array. From here, these 3 things. I just removed this one. Now this code works absolutely fine. So yeah, this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.